because if they don't come in, they'll have to experience the wrath of the crazy, grumpy Canadian, which is non-existent. So how are you guys doing tonight? We've got Mitch, who's so dedicated that he's in his car to be with us tonight. We have a skeleton, a skull here with us tonight in place of Jay. And we have Rayne. How are you guys doing?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Good. Thank you.
That's my first time meeting Rayne.
Absolutely.
How's it going, buddy?
Yeah. What's up, man?
On camera.
Me and Mitch go way back to what ages?
Really?
Yeah, like
to paper cuts.
Yeah, a few months ago or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Time flies. I really, really liked that show, though, in all honesty. And when I found out all the stuff that you do on top of writing and following your dream, I mind blown. I had no clue, to be honest. Hey, Linda, thanks for coming in and coming to hang with us. All right. Well, we're just going to get started. If people pop in, I'll pop the comments up. If anyone in the chat has any questions for Rayne or Mitch, please leave them in the comments. If I don't see them, keep popping them in until I do, because sometimes it's hard to keep up with the comment section. Let's just jump right in. And Rayne, since you're right next to me, do you mind introducing yourself, telling people a little bit about you and a little bit about your work?
Yeah, so I'm Rayne King, author of The Creek. You guys might have seen it floating around Instagram or Twitter. That's about two lonely teenagers who kind of find solace in each other, and against the backdrop of a typical shady cult that goes on. It also comes with a bonus story that I wrote, Husk, which is kind of a misadventure horror story about a kind of a doomed treasure map. And then I have a couple other short stories out and some collections coming out. One that's called Drowning in Doubt, which will be in Diabolica Americana, and then a new one, Snow Angels, which will be in Utility Volume 2, which Mitch actually just read recently.
Ooh. You going to give us any sneak peek? Was it
great
good?
Story.
What's that, Jay?
I like how you said it was a shady cult. Like, what cult is not shady to begin with?
Right.
Mine. It's not shady at all. Come on over. You're invited. We have food, pizza, beer, anything you want. Come on over. Mitch, how about you? Do you want to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your work?
Yeah, I am Mitch Seabourn. I'm from Arkansas, and I'm in my truck right now because I've been in Little Rock all day. I went to a football game this morning and just ran a race, and just got done eating some pizza. So my latest work is a short story collection called Faces Beyond the Veil. And I'm also the author of several novels that are available on Amazon, paperback, Kindle. Most recent of which is Dust and Time and The Things We Cannot Say. And when I'm not doing any of that, I'm teaching high school English and practicing law. So I keep myself busy.
You guys are both extremely busy. And like I was saying, absolutely inspiration to see that you guys are doing so much, between family, kids, work, and still you guys are following your passion and writing and getting your pieces out there. For us, incredible book nerds that can't help but read and consume all of the stuff, it's really appreciated.
Yeah.
Hey, LJ, thanks for coming.
We appreciate you guys, because without you guys giving us a platform to show our work, I don't think anyone would be reading my stuff right now. So thank you.
Yeah, truth to that. I appreciate you guys
and watches in this situation.
You've given me a chance to, tell people about my work, and I appreciate that a lot. So you and Jay and Brad Proctor and Well Red Beard and everybody that's taken time to showcase my work, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I agree. I love getting to see booktubers reviewing indie work. And I mean, the list is sky high, because when I hear something that sounds good, something that sounds interesting, and the cover definitely helps. On the list it goes. And it's so neat to be able to see. And especially Well Red Beard, I don't know, his reviews, it doesn't matter what he's talking about, I end up adding it to my list, because he's just got a way with words. Even if he's like a little tad bit negative, I still can't help but laugh and want to go and pick up the book. So, his reviews are killer.
Oh my God, he reads like 5 books a day too. So
I know. How does he do it?
Impressive.
How does he do it?
I don't know. Just yeah. it's
And
crazy.
we've got Jay, former co-host
Where?
of Paper Cuts, who has decided to fly the coop and head over to Dark Between Pages channel and hang out with us because he knows where the fun's at.
Don't say that too much. I told Brad Proctor I was cheating on him.
Yeah.
He was upset. But I believe earlier this summer, didn't he do a show with you and Joshua Marcella and what's his name? Joe Slater or I can't think of the guy's name now.
Yes.
Joseph Slade.
Yes. So he was already cheating on you?
Yeah. So this is just just payback. So there's
Payback.
another
I
show
thought,
too.
I thought two wrongs did not make it right, but I could be wrong.
It does in my head for this situation. We're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about Mitch and Rayne tonight.
That's right. But in the meantime, if you're not, go and head over to Jay's channel and subscribe, please. He's on his way to 500. Go and make that happen, please. And hit the
on my way
notification
to
bell. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Absolutely. All right. Question that you guys have probably had time and time again. Was writing always a passion of yours? Did you always want to be an author?
Mitch, you want to go first?
Yeah. I've been writing since definitely elementary school. I don't remember how, and it wasn't any good. And it was just, little stories, some of which were just really terrible pictures and just some typing paper folded over and stapled to look like a book. But I started getting a little bit more serious in junior high school. I actually tried to submit a few things and it didn't work out. And that was definitely for the best. But I feel like I've been around for a while. I think I published my first work on Kindle back in 2013, something like that. It's a novella that I have since unpublished and just put in a collection called The Funeral Mountains. But yeah, I've been writing for years. I love it. And no matter how busy I get, I just always make time for it. I can't help it. I have to. Truly, when I'm not writing something, my wife can tell you I get very cranky. And if I'm stuck or I just can't think of an idea, I get even crankier. So it's just something I have to do. Even if no one
find it kind of like, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, do you find it's kind of like an addiction, something that is part of your day-to-day or your weekly task routine that you just have to do it?
Yeah. It's very therapeutic. Like I love to hike and run and, all these things, and writing is almost a way to go do some of that and experience things that I don't always get to experience or may never get to experience. But it's a way to just go places for me and express myself. And, I don't get to write a bunch of words every single day, but I'm always thinking about it. And it kind of fills in the blank spaces, you might say. And it's just always been something that I've done to stay sane and enjoy life. And I don't ever see myself not doing it.
Do you have any of your writings from when you were a kid?
Yes, actually, I have. Some of them are out in the garage and some of them are in the bottom of a closet. And I take them out and look at them
together. Yeah. You should put them together and release them like before he was a star. This is what
I can forgive the ones that were from like my early childhood, but I go back and look at some of the stuff that I thought was really great from like high school and early college. And like, did I really submit that? Like an editor at Tor Horror actually read that.
Look at me now.
Yeah, release a young Mitch story collection.
I would read.
People would love that. Yeah, I would read that.
Well, you could take some of the ideals you had back then and build on them, and
I mean, I've heard you're your own worst critic, so maybe they're not as bad as I think, but I think they're pretty bad. So unless they get a major rewrite, I doubt they ever see the light of day. But
shoot, we tried. Maybe we'll have to try a little bit harder, but we won't do that here. He'll just be like, sayonara, suckers, I'm out. See you later. How about you, Rayne? Did you always want to write? Did you always want to be an author?
I would say like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I had like an epiphany that I wanted to start writing a little bit. It was mainly more like journalistic entries that I would just kind of fictionalize. And most of it was just kind of like gibberish I would just keep for myself. Occasionally I would have my wife read it, or my then fiance at the time. And then over the past year, I decided to get a little more serious about it. As like a gift to myself, I wanted to self-publish something, which turned out to be The Creek. And then since then, I've just been writing more and more frequently. I've been enjoying it. But like Mitch was saying, it's like a cathartic experience, you know? It kind of helps me relax. I get home from work, go to the gym, whatever, take care of our kid, help take care of her, and then I, get my writing in for the day. And similarly to Mitch, like my wife can tell if I'm not writing, she'll be like, "Hey, Rayne, why don't you go take a break and go write for a little bit or something?" It just helps me decompress and switch gears.
It's almost
How'd
like
you
people
like-
getting hangry. You're
Yeah.
one of those people that has to eat or they get angry. I have to write or I get angry.
How'd you like self-publishing? Was it always going to be self-publishing, or did you ever think about putting it around?
And then Ross Jeffrey helped me out a lot. He made the process smooth, so I got no complaints about it. And then my next thing I'm working on, which would be like kind of a follow-up to The Creek, not a direct sequel, but it'll kind of take place around the same area. I might self-publish that, or I might go maybe a small press route, depending if anyone wants it or not.
Ooh, that's exciting. Do you have your eye? You don't have to say names, but do you have your eye on any small press directly, or a handful of them?
Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 that circle in my head that I would like to be a part of, but we'll see. I gotta write it. I gotta finish it first.
Yeah, that's right. One step at a time, one thing at a time. What pulled you guys into reading or to writing horror, dark fiction? Is it something that you always read and now you write? Is it just past experiences? Is it just truly, as I recently read in My Heart is a Chainsaw, it was that love or horror is a love affair. Yeah. And I really, really resonated with that. So is it a love affair? What is it about horror? Mitch, do you want to go first again?
Yeah. I don't know. I think Goosebumps is what got me into, reading when I was a kid. And then Goosebumps gave way to The Thief of Always by Clive Barker. And then that gave way to, Clive Barker's other stuff, and then Stephen King. And I don't know, horror is just kind of where I picked up the trail. And, I branch out a little bit every now and then. I'm fascinated by detective stories and crime fiction. And but I find myself, even when I go into those genres, there usually ends up being a ghost somewhere or something. So it always comes back to horror.
Somehow, some way. Jay's a little too old for the Goosebumps. He kind of missed.
I'm going through the Goosebumps now with my youngest daughter. She's experiencing them, so I'm experiencing them for the first time too.
Do you have a favorite so far?
I've only read 1.5, so come on.
Oh. so that one is your favorite so far.
Exactly.
Okay.
so you read a lot of Clive Barker, because I'm not seeing Barker in your style, but I've only read a couple of books.
Yeah.
Because he's a little bit more extreme than what I've seen.
Yeah, Clive Barker's really extreme, and I think just by nature I tend to end up being a little more subtle than that. Yeah. But yes, I'm not saying I understood it all, but I remember reading The Great and Secret Show when I was in like 9th or 10th grade or something.
Yeah.
And I knew I wasn't getting it all, but I was also just in awe of the scope of it. And then I read The Damnation Game and The Hellbound Heart and a lot of the books of blood. I love Clive Barker. I just, I guess I tend to lean towards Stephen King as far as maybe being a little bit more subtle every now and then.
Yeah.
Part of that's just because I think I'm into a lot of other genres as well. I mean, I really do read a lot of like crime fiction and mainstream fiction. And I think that blends into my style a little bit. I think sometimes what authors don't show you is as effective as what they do show you. So
I think with Clive Barker, like what I've noticed, like the preface or like the introductory part to it, it's just so in depth and extreme that you're looking up every other word to see what he's talking about. And then after that, like the rest of the book kind of levels out to like normal, words that you don't have to look up. But yeah, like the to start off with, I mean, every book I've read of his, it's just like, okay, let me get through this because it's a struggle first, and then it's smooth sailing after that. So
yeah. No, Clive
Like,
Barker's he's a brilliant writer, and it takes work. And I kind of want to go back and reread some of it because I know for a fact I read most of his stuff at a fairly young age, and I know it didn't all sink in. And like you said, I didn't know. There's probably 10 words on every page that I didn't even know what it meant.
Right.
It was pure context clues getting me through it. But
Andrea says, I read Thunder on the Mountain today and loved it.
oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
We've got Year of the Author. Katie came in. Thank you so much. Raoul Reeds, thank you for popping in and saying hi to us. Remember, you guys, if you have any questions, I was going to say, do you have any questions or concerns like I was back at the office? I mean, hello, it's Saturday here. If you have any questions, pop them into the comments.
Or concerns. We can go ahead and address those too.
Or concerns.
We're here to help.
With Jay.
I mean, Lewis is in the chat there. We're here to help you, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, poor Lewis. How about you, Rayne? What pulled you into horror? Was it a love affair?
Yeah, love affair is a great way to put it. My whole family, we grew up just watching horror movies at like a young age, like subjected to The Shining by the time I was 6, 7 years old. And then, Stephen King, my mom used to have, walls of his books growing up, and my last name, obviously we share that. So I kind of saw him as like this mystical figure. So I started reading him when I was like 12, 13, and just stuck with that. And then as I got older, like I just gravitated towards it. It seemed like a natural thing. And then more recently, a lot of Larry Barron, Paul Tremblay, Stephen Graham Jones. The more I read about those guys, the more I just want to write horror and stay in that. But like Mitch, I branch out. I'll read, just hard fiction, dark fiction, crime. But it just seemed like a natural course for me.
Do you ever tell people you're related to them?
When I was younger, I used to play that card once in a while. Now, I can't so much. I might still go back to it.
We should do it. You should do it. Totally. We should just make it happen. Let's
say
start the
like,
rumor here.
Yeah. Say stuff like, well, my uncle gave me some writing advice. And don't really say his name. Just like,
right.
Yeah, my uncle talks to me about writing all the time. And I try to be a lot like my uncle. Just
yeah.
But don't ever say the
famous.
name.
He's done really well for himself.
People be like, you mean Stephen R. King?
Yeah. I just found out that guy recently. I couldn't believe it. I was like, the audacity.
Well, that's too funny. Are your guys' families, are they really supportive of what you do? Whether they give you time to write or whether they read your work?
Yeah, my family's supportive.
Sorry, I was going to say, Rayne, do you want to go first this time?
Yeah. My wife reads everything first. And then usually I got kind of a big family. I got 2 older brothers, an older sister, and a younger sister. But they all read my stuff. They're pretty supportive of it. And then my parents are big supporters. How about you, Mitch?
Yeah, my wife is usually the first one to hear my stuff because after I take it through a draft or 2, which I don't talk about with anybody, I usually read it out loud to her, and she's very patient and always willing to sit and hear it. And she always makes sure that make sure you give yourself time to write. And then beyond my wife, my mother's a great proofreader. And she's always, ever since I was a kid, supported the fact that I love to write.
Your mother-in-law's here again. She was here last time.
Yeah.
So proud of you. I love when family comes in. It just like makes my heart all ooey gooey.
She did that last time, and we were like, we had to ask them.
Well, they're always,
well,
they're always buying and reading my stuff, and yeah, I mean, I feel like direct family, wife, distant family, I've got support all over it, so I'm very appreciative of that. I know not everybody has that.
Now you both said that your wife reads your stuff first. Do they ever look at it and then look at you and then look at it and look at you and say, "We're"?
My wife read it and she looked up at me. She's like, "Is this supposed to make sense?" I'm like, I think it does.
Yeah. Or you're sleeping on a couch tonight. Okay.
What did I just read?
More than once, my wife has said something like, "Mitch, this is really messed up." Or she'll be like, "This is not me, is it? You're not talking about me here, are you?" But
I told you that in secret. I didn't say any names. Come on.
This is where you have to just turn around and say, listen, there's people messed up out there, so messed up out there that they want to read this type of stuff. That's why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Or they tell their friends, yeah, he doesn't write anything. He works nonstop. No, that's not him. That book's not. No, that's a different Mitch. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know that, Mitch. Yeah, no clue.
same name, you know.
So you guys have, what I really like is your guys' names. You know, when you never know when I meet an author if it's a pen name or if it's their real name. And sometimes when you have like Rayne King and then you got Mitch Seabourn, there's like two really kick-ass names for authors, and I'm like, is that a pen name or is that
We're going to need to
not?
see a birth certificate from both of you just to make sure.
yeah, that's right. I don't know. And then sometimes I get to meet the wives, and sometimes the wives add me, and then I see that they've got the same last name, and I'm so maybe it's not.
My dad, like, when my mom was pregnant with me, the story goes, and my dad was like, "Hi, listen to Phil Collins," and it was raining out. He was just like, I got a great idea for the son's name. How we name him Rayne? Mitch Seabourn's your last name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a badass.
I mean, I'm horrible with names for my characters. I couldn't have come up with my name if I tried. So it's definitely me.
You could also come up with a name and write a different kind of genre under a different name.
That's right. And use a pen name for that. Absolutely. Yeah. And have two separate things. Absolutely. Which I think is really cool because some authors use it where they just abbreviate their name. And then, you know, they've got like their YA or their young adult side and then their adult side of things. But I mean, you could be two very different people. That's what I love about the author world. Not only can you use a pen name and be a completely different person, but you can create whatever characters you want in your world, which is just fascinating.
Yeah, we just talked to Ali C last week, and she uses her Ali C name horror, but she used to also write erotica under the name Summer Marston. So if you three would have watched Paper Cuts, you would have known that.
I'm sorry. You guys had like the one show that I missed, Jay. Honestly, he called me out. You guys listening to this?
Thank you.
I don't always get to them live, Jay, but I
totally messing with you. Totally messing with you.
Yeah, calling us out.
Yeah, you just watch the one you're on, right? Over and over and over.
So wait. If you miss any of mine, or if Brad misses any of mine, does that mean I get to call them out? Is that how it works then?
I usually watch yours like the next day at work.
Yeah. See. You've been caught. You're not cheating. You're helping me out.
Brad, help me out here. They didn't watch last week's episode of Paper Cuts. Right, they would have known about Ali C and her pen name for her erotica stuff.
Yeah. Hey,
no,
Melissa.
Nikki, I watch yours next day at work usually. So if I can't,
Oh shit. No, it's all good. I get it. Sometimes people can't, and that's okay. That's what's great about these live streams, though, is it stays on the channel, so you can come and watch it after the fact. Hey, Melissa, thanks for coming. So Melissa had a great question yesterday. Don't kill me if I don't get this completely perfect. She mentioned the question to me yesterday, and she made such brilliant sense. She wanted to know, is there a book out there that you guys ever wished you had wrote?
Yeah, there's a few. Mitch, do you want me to go or do you want to go?
You go ahead.
Dennis Johnson's... he's got a few, like Train Dreams. That's a great book. It's a novella. And then, Stephen King's The Shining. It's a cliche, but I wish I could come up with that. And then more recently, I think Mexican Gothic. That was a great book. I wish I could nail that. But sometimes when I'm reading a book, I'm thinking like, I'll never be this good ever. I can't. You know what I mean?
Don't say that. No. Confidence is key. It will happen.
Oh.
Maybe it already has happened. Pause for dramatic effect.
Yeah. Crickets.
I'm gonna
need sound effects here.
I'm gonna go with the first one that came to my mind was the book that got me into actual adult horror fiction, which is Salem's Lot. it's such a simple concept. Let's just take Dracula and put it in, 20th century America. But
Pretty much, yeah.
I could have never written that book like that. Like the way Salem's Lot feels like a real town, and the way he introduces you, like Beard said, I hadn't read Salem's Lot in years, and I watched Beard review it recently, and he was talking about how Stephen King just introduces you to all these characters, like dozens of them. But within a few paragraphs, they all feel like real people, and this feels like a real town. And I don't think I could ever pull that off at all. So I read.
Sorry, Mitch.
And then not horror at all, but I've really enjoyed C.J. Box's Joe Pickett series. I love how he uses the setting out west in Wyoming and, Montana. And I love how he incorporates setting into his work.
Absolutely. Sorry, Rayne, you were going to say something there?
Touch on the Salem's Lot, that he wrote that, I think, before he was 32, which is just mind-blowing to me.
I mean,
how that much craft.
Well, Mitch, you could just ask Rayne's uncle to give you some pointers.
Yeah. Rayne, can you give Mitch your uncle's number so you can talk?
Good. Yeah. Can you set me up with a meet and greet? I'd really like to be able to meet the guy.
When I get one, you'll get one.
All right.
That's the funny thing about King, though. I mean, a lot of his horror, if you strip it down, a lot of his regular horror is just basic everyday horror that you hear about from other people, but it's just the presentation, the dialogue between the characters, the setting. People complain that he has 20 pages telling you about a store on the corner, but that's what brings his stuff together and separates it from the rest of the pack.
Yeah,
agreed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think there's a fine line between, really overwriting and then not developing the story enough. And sometimes Stephen King overwrites a little bit. But when he gets it right, I mean, it's nearly literature, in my opinion.
Absolutely. So when you were sitting down to write, do you focus more on creating these kick-ass, incredible characters, or are you worried more about the story, the plot, what's happening?
I just never want to have a character do something that I don't feel like a real person would do. I usually just come up with a basic story idea and then, come up with a character, and sometimes one comes before the other. It's not always in that order, but, and then just kind of throw them in there and see what happens. But I don't like it when authors, force things with their characters. I want my characters to seem like real people. I tend to stay away from, psychic abilities or superpowers or anything like that. So I just kind of let the character guide the story. Once you got the idea, just put a real person in there or what feels like a real person and just see where they take you.
Make them relatable, which can be one of the most terrifying things, especially when it comes to reading dark fiction or horror. Because if the characters are relatable, then it just makes it that much more scary and real.
Exactly.
Brad says King writes the better characters than anybody else does.
Yeah.
One day somebody's going to have to see if they can beat him, but I don't know. I think Stephen King has his name pretty solid in the world for the rest of his life, and then on from there. How about you, Rayne? Is it more of the characters or the storyline for you?
Usually, I come up with a character first. Occasionally a plot before that, but usually a character that I can spend some time with, that I want to spend time with. Because if I'm writing, I write pretty slow on a slow pace, so I know I'm going to be with this character for a couple months at least. So I want to be able to like them and write about them. So the characters usually come first, and then try to find a plot that's believable that they would go through and see how they would handle that situation. Similar to Mitch's experience, actually.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for you to go off the rails like you said you were going to.
Yeah, this one's getting a little weird. So.
I mean,
wait for it. Maybe it will happen now.
Well, no, because he tweeted a few days ago that he's about to go off the rails in a new one he's writing. So
I'm writing right now. Takes a pretty dark turn by my standards. So I was like, all right, this is where the good thing about putting something out there and getting people to read it is that you start realizing people in the horror community, they're pretty like jaded and desensitized. So like the Creek was a little subdued.
Yes.
Right now, I'm like, my small readership, they can handle a little bit more. I can give them a little bit more craziness and not feel self-conscious or like people don't call the cops on me or something.
Do you think you're going to write it so dark that, I mean, too dark for yourself? Or are you going to walk away from it, go back to it, and keep doing that?
Yeah, no, but by my standards, it will get a little nuts.
I'm excited for it then. It's weird, to think that I can sit down and have a snack while I am reading some of the most disturbing, most twisted, most messed up things you could come across that you don't see in traditionally published books. And I'm thinking, here we go. Here's the good stuff. Forget like erotica and just give me all the horror. Oh man, that's too funny.
That's coming from the one that didn't like horror to begin with.
Listen, you don't call me out now. I've done that enough on my channel.
I know. I don't know. I always bring that up.
Oh man. And I don't think it wasn't that I didn't like horror. It was just that I didn't find my place in horror. The stuff I was reading to me wasn't bothering me. Maybe I was just a little too desensitized already. Maybe that was my problem. But I mean, the indie and the small press world, that changed everything because you guys put out some of the most twisted stuff that you could come across. Some of the most relatable
Brad trying to call me out
stuff.
Down there, or...
Yeah, he is. He wants to know about your writing. Listen, he's not a special guest today, but I mean, I will give him 30 seconds.
When it's ready, it's ready. That's
no. How's it going though? Is it going good, or do you get?
It's Rayne was talking about being slow. I'm slower than that. It's like. It's not even secondary or thirdary or fourthary. Yeah. It's like, I mean, it's going to be a while. I mean, there's stuff there. There's stuff there. There's stuff floating around.
Yeah.
And do you find getting to talk with authors helps? Does it inspire you at all? Does it get, the juices flowing?
I have a memory of like a 90-year-old. I don't remember anything I talk about. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. No, it helps. It helps. It helps.
The oldie, the oldie in the group, in the community.
I used to write when I was younger. I actually won awards.
Oh wow!
In school and stuff, life.
Yeah, I get that.
But like last couple of years since I started doing this stuff, I'm kind of the flames ignited once again. But again, it's last thing on my plate. So
maybe a sneak peek coming soon.
I read something.
I'm guessing it's horror, right, Jay?
Yeah, well, it's space erotica, but no, it is. It's horror. It is.
Space erotica. You and space erotica. I swear. I'm starting to think you really truly do have an addiction with space erotica or something here.
I mentioned that in every single show I'm in. Somehow I fit it in. So.
Yeah. Oh man. And some of us would probably read it. So, I mean, put it out there. You never know. You never know
what I'm going to review on my channel. So.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Is your 30 seconds up?
Yeah. That's not about me tonight, guys. Go ahead.
Yeah, Brad, you're asking the questions directed to the wrong people. No, it's nice though, because I'm sure it probably makes Mitch and Rayne feel good too, knowing that them putting out their stuff and following their dreams is igniting the fire in you and wanting to get writing. Because that's a question I do like to ask a lot on my channel: is how does it make you guys feel knowing that your writing and your pieces inspire other people to pick up that pen, pick up that paper, grab their laptop, and start trying to chase a dream that they've been, maybe holding off on? Who wants to go first with that one?
Mitch,
I was going to say, Mitch, you want to go first?
It just blows my mind that I can put something out there and that somebody I don't even know reads it. Even if they don't enjoy it, it's still so cool that I write something and that, somebody else reads it that I didn't hand it to. They're not family. They're not a friend. So the thought that somebody reads it and then enjoys it and then it inspires them, that blows my mind. It's like being a teacher. It always makes you feel good when you feel like you've you've been able to inspire a kid or something with something you've said. And so it makes me feel like that. Like, I love the fact that I can write something and that, somebody in another state or another country reads it and they think, okay, I want to go write something now. Yeah, of course, that makes me feel great. I mean, that's the thought that might have happened already. And, maybe it did, maybe it didn't, I don't know. But that's, if somebody were to tell me that would be better than any 4 or 5 star review.
Cool.
Well, that's it. If you have this inspiration from these guys, go and tell them. Don't be scared to send them a message. Hey, Mindy, thanks for coming and hanging out with us.
Touch on that.
How about you, Rayne?
Yeah, so every time someone's reached out to me and tells me that my works inspire them in some way, it's always very surreal and humbling. I've had a number of people come up to me or DM me, ask if I could read something they wrote just to touch on it and see if I get a second pair of eyes on it. And I'm always there to read it. And it's just, very humbling and surreal that my work that I just wrote within the past year or so is paying back a little bit, So it's very gratifying.
I could only imagine. I know I get excited when I'm scrolling through Bookstagram or I'm checking out somebody's channel that's new to the community, or somebody puts a tweet up on Twitter and I see somebody's book that I know, an author that I've had the chance to be able to chat with, or that I've had on my channel, or that I have some type of friendship with. I get so excited that I just want to scream for the author and just jump up and down. So, and I'm not even the author. I'm not the one that's, seen my book. And I can only imagine and just, share that excitement. So you guys don't mind then if people message you or bug you and say, listen, I just finished this. It is incredible. I really like this one quote that you used, or this was my favorite part.
Yeah, I can see that when you get into a bigger platform, it might get, a little tedious. But right now I got a small enough platform that I welcome it. And I look forward to when people message me, complimenting me, or, asking if I could read their work. I got no problem with it.
Or people like me bugging you saying, hey, you want to come on my live?
I was like, okay, yeah, sure.
No, like Rayne said, I appreciate all of it. I'm certainly not, I'm not like, Dean Koontz or Stephen King or James Patterson. I don't have a garage full of mail or anything to go through. And I appreciate every little tweet or email or comment or invitation to come on a show. I love it. It's awesome that I'm getting out there enough that people are coming to me wanting to talk about something that I've written. And, I get frustrated with social media sometimes. It can be so negative sometimes. Yes. But this writing community, I mean, the small press and indie horror fiction is now my favorite horror fiction. I mean, Malignant Summer by Tim Meyer and Crossroads by Laurel Hightower and The Creek by Rayne King. I mean, this is some of the favorite stuff I've read in the last year or two in horror fiction.
Speaking of that, before we get to Brad's question there, speaking of that, how do you feel about other authors pushing your stuff? Because I know Ross Jeffrey pushes your stuff all the time, both the Rayne and Mitch stuff all the time. That's where I learned from you guys, from Ross Jeffrey. It's how does that feel when you see someone that's established like him in the independent scene that's getting bigger and bigger? He's screaming it out. Hey, check out Rayne King's book and check out the newest from Mitch Seabourn and all that stuff. How do you feel about other authors pushing you guys?
Yeah, I'm very words can't describe how appreciative I am for them doing that. Sadie Hartman, Cynthia Palelo, Janine Pipe, Ross Jeffrey, Joshua and Marcella, they've all gone out their way. And think about it, I'm a nobody, right? I just put this book out there and people are gravitating towards it and they have taken out their time to support me. Words can't describe how appreciative I am of it.
Oh yeah. I want to add Josh Marcella and Ross Jeffrey to that, list. I knew I'd miss somebody, but Ross and Josh Marcella, I mean, these guys have been great. They're talented writers. They're great. I love Severed and Scratches and Tome and Juniper. I've read all their stuff. And the thought that somebody that can write something that good that I enjoyed so much is also enjoying my work enough to give a shout out. It's humbling and very appreciated.
I'll say, as a reader, seeing authors supporting other authors just makes me, it just gravitates me to want to go and support that author, even more, both the author that is supporting them and the author that they're talking about, because just seeing that author love, back and forth, it's just, I don't know. Again, back with the stupid Canadian ooey gooey heart. It just, I don't know. It just makes me feel so good, to see these people that are like, listen, you have to go and read this person's work. And I'm like, well, if you said so, I absolutely do. No kidding. All right, Rayne, was The Creek the first piece you wrote, or did you write something before that hasn't been published yet?
The Creek was the first thing that I wrote with the intention of publishing it or getting other people's eyes on it. That wasn't my immediate family or my wife. Besides that, like I touched on earlier, some random stuff I wrote, tidbits here and there, but that was pretty much just for myself. And then, it's the first serious thing that I took a stab at.
That's amazing.
Where did the story originate from?
My parents they live across from an old abandoned campground, and years ago when I was a kid, it was still active. I would spend some summers there hanging out with whoever came over. People from the city would come up. I live in the Hudson Valley in New York, a couple hours north of the city. And always kind of a weird vibe going on there, though. Even as a kid, I picked up on it. So I just kind of went back in the memory bank and touched on it, expanded it a little bit.
I just want to say that I read The Creek a while ago. And the fact that that's the first like serious piece you wrote, I mean, that's just amazing. I'm sitting there reading that. I'm reading that opening chapter, and it's like this reads like somebody that's been writing for 10 or 20 years or something.
I appreciate that, Mitch. Thank you.
Yeah.
See, there's that author love I was talking about. It just makes me I can't help but smile.
Yeah.
100% legitimate. And I read trade published books, and I read I'll traditionally published books is what I'm trying to say, but I read all the time. I think my reading list for 2021 is divided pretty equally between indie, small press, and then traditionally published. And I read traditionally published books all the time, and I think, oh, this is firing me up because I know I can do better than that. And then and these guys are like millionaires. But and then I read something like The Creek, and I learned that, oh, this is this guy's first real strong
debut.
effort to do this stuff out there, and that's amazing.
Yeah, I read Mitch's Beyond the Veil. He sent me an arc of that, and he let me blurb it, and I was like blown away that this dude just wrote this and is self-publishing it, because similar to what he was saying, it's better than a lot of the traditional published books I read. I was like, wow, this dude can write his ass off.
Well, I think a lot of the difference between the independent small press and traditional, it's just getting that break. Because there are a lot of traditional ones I read. I'm like, how did they land a deal with this? I'm not. I've said this before in the past too. I mean, this is why I have shelves full of traditional published books that I'm not going to ever get to, because I went down that rabbit hole of independent small press, and it's just there's freedom there, and
exactly
I enjoy it so much more. And it's just waiting for somebody to get a break. That's the only difference with that. So,
and
I agree.
I'll just add real quickly. I just think the indie small press scene, it's brought back the novella.
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't have to put 4 of those in a single manuscript, and then it's given life to the novella, and it's just given life to some ideas that would, somebody at Scribner or Doubleday would probably say, well, we don't think this is super marketable.
Right.
I mean, like Haley Piper. I mean, I've read a lot of Haley Piper's stuff, and it's just brilliant. It's hard.
She rules the world right now, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's hardcore and it's intense, and most of it's novella length. And I mean, so props to the indie small press world for giving, folks like that a chance to get their stuff out there.
The novella, like I don't mean to keep referring to our show, but this came up with Ali C last week on Paper Cuts, and Laura Hightower was in the. You love it. And
I gotta give you a hard time.
Laura Hightower was in the chat, and she had mentioned that she had an agent that said novellas didn't sell, and we were like, fire him, and she did.
So.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's true though, and it shows talent when you guys can pack so much excitement and so much delicious goodness into a novella. I mean, that just speaks. It just screams true passion, talent. I mean, because that's not easy.
And
Yeah,
with my
It's not
attention
easy.
span, I love them.
I think the
So-
novella is a great lane for horror fiction too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pack that punch. You don't have to worry about pacing as much, building dread. You can kind of just go for that gut punch right. Within 60, 70 pages.
Yeah.
Let
always
me
compare
open
it
it
to,
up
like,
with a blood scene.
Right.
I always compare it to like a horror movie.
Yeah.
Most horror movies are an
Mhm.
hour and a half. 90 minutes, 80 minutes, 90 minutes, you're in and you're out. So the novella is equivalent to a horror movie for me. So
And at the end, everyone's dead. So, I
Yeah.
mean. Margaret said, I would love to have other authors or others pushing me up like that. Sorry, the small screen I was reading it as in publishers. So you would like to have more authors pushing you up there like that, raving about you. Mindy says too, indie is the place to go. Hey, Ethan, thanks for coming. James, I haven't asked your question yet. So if you're still here and you want to ask it, go ahead. But I do love your question and I always steal it. Sorry, just jumping in and catching all these. Oh no, you thought it was at 8?
it was.
8 your time.
I know. Yeah. I know.
6 my time.
Arkansas, yeah.
Yeah. Tor and I Fire published the novella Nothing But Blackened Teeth. Yeah. Ooh, it's got it right there.
It's one of the
Under
best covers
contract.
I've ever seen.
I love that cover.
I love the cover of that.
That's where you guys get me too, is the covers. Covers, I tell you, you're not supposed to judge a book by the cover. You're not supposed to buy a book by the cover, but I am guilty. I will do it. Absolutely. Especially for Bookstagram, to do those photos with them. I mean, so you're under contract that you have to mention Paper Cuts at least 5 times when he's on another live.
I'm pretty close. I'm pretty sure I'm close to that 5.
I think you've gone over 5. So you've surpassed that contract limit. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just giving you shit. I love Paper Cuts so much. And I also love the cool dudes that run it. So mention it away.
Brad's somebody else.
Don't forget that Jay is part of Paper Cuts too, though. It's not just Brad's show.
It's like Brad's name's big and then Jay's just small.
Oh, didn't Chris do a review like that?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, you guys need to steal his
the
intro.
Dead Inside review.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, Mindy says I love a good horror novella. I agree, because you can easily consume those, and you can like knock out 1 or 2 in a day if it's snowing like it is here in Canada. You can just curl up and read an entire novella in one sitting.
I'm jealous of the snow, by the way.
You can
Are
have
you
it.
snow? Is it sticking?
Just today, just started snowing. No, it will go. It's supposed to be pretty nice next week, but it just started snowing today.
I'm still mowing my yard and it's driving me crazy. So
Oh. I'll send it your way. I'll package it up with some some ice, and we'll ship it off to you, and you can keep it. Just it
in
may
Ohio,
melt on your grass.
We'll mow the yard with snow on the ground in Ohio. It'll be just like a dusting, like we'll see that cut though. Just
What?
yeah.
Oh man, I'm ready to move somewhere warm though, because I'm not ready for the snow yet. We haven't even been able to have Halloween yet. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, I'm guessing this is for you, Jay. You guys have a prenup, eh?
Yeah. That's
Oh,
kind of
man.
what it is. Well, because
I
have a history of shutting down shows, so yeah.
Well, and you guys are in the middle of going through a divorce. I got it. We're good. We're good. Don't worry. I won't make you sign a prenup. You're good.
By the way, Lewis Stevenson's in the chat there. I don't know if either one of you have checked this out yet, but if you're looking for like a good slasher type book,
Butcher. Mm-hmm.
Looks good.
there you go,
The
Lewis.
Goners.
What are you guys reading, by the way?
I was gonna say, is this comment gonna get anybody in trouble? Brad says he thought that Nothing But Blackened Teeth was okay.
I haven't
Is
read it.
anyone gonna? I was gonna say, is anyone gonna be mad at him? Is that an unpopular opinion?
I think you already reviewed it. Did you not review it, Brad? Like you can answer right away. He's not even on the show.
He just pops in here and there.
I know.
I'm reading Pierce Brosnan's Ghost Story for the first time right now.
I have that.
And
Yeah.
I'm loving that.
Sorry.
Epic book. And then next up, I think I'm going to read The Cipher by Kathy Koja, I think her name is. And
Yeah.
then,
A little just like Paper Cuts. What's this? 8th time now? just a little foreshadowing. I believe we have her
Oh, really?
in November.
Oh,
I
that's
want to say, or yeah. Ooh, I don't even know the schedule, but yes.
Are you even allowed to give that information away?
I don't. This is why Brad's looking for a new co-host, because
You can't keep your mouth
tagged the wrong
shut.
I tagged the wrong people, and I spoil things. So,
Oh man.
but yeah, go
man.
ahead. So you're reading Kathy Koja, the
Yeah.
Cipher.
Up right now, finish up Ghost Story by Pierce Straub. That book
Cool.
is amazing. It lives up to the hype for sure.
Yeah.
How about you, Mitch? What are you reading right now?
I thanks to Brad Proctor mainly. I'm reading my first epic fantasy that I've read in a long time, and it's occupying most of my time. I'm on book 2 of the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson.
Do not cross over.
And but just to keep a foot in the real world, well, the so-called real world. Sorry, phone call. I'm also reading The Queen of Teeth by Haley Piper, and at night before I go to bed, I'm trying to knock out a story in Midnight in the Pentagram, and kind of for Halloween. So I'm reading 3 books right now somehow.
Andreas, you guys all 3 books, 2 books. Andreas is reading a whole bunch. You guys are incredibly supportive.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Just ordered The Funeral Mountains, Diabolical Americana. Already have The Creek and Thomas Gloom's Voodoo Child. Gorgeous cover. Slowly catching up. Andreas is one of like the most, supportive people in the community, always sharing the lives that are coming, picking up the books, trying to read them before the live if possible. So thank you, Andreas, for being such a support in the community. It means so much.
Yeah, same here. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's good, isn't it, Mitch?
It's very good. Like I haven't tried any epic fantasy since the Game of Thrones series, and I gave up on that in book 4 because I was bored to death with book 4. But this is not boring me at all. I'm reading these 1,000-page books like they're 300-page books. It's great stuff if you're into fantasy at all.
She's just like, forget it, not happening.
It's a running joke with me. So just
That's too funny.
Don't cross over, Mitch. Come on.
Okay, so
if you start writing a fantasy, I'm just gonna be mad now.
No, I'm telling you, like I don't have the ability to write.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
If you have to take that, Mitch, I can meet you and you can take that if you need to.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay. I don't want to keep you from something important.
Do you guys ever come up with like an ideal for a book, like the meat and potatoes part of it, the juicy part, and when you start writing it, you get so excited that you kind of rush through the beginning just to get that good part that you had in your head? Or is that just okay?
Yeah,
never mind.
The story I wrote for Diabolical Americana, I the finish line of that one, and then I would backtrack to add more to it, more meat, more like potatoes for the meat, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because that one I was just super excited to get to the climax in that story.
Right, like drudging through the setup and all the extra stuff that you need to support it.
Right.
Oh, I can't wait to see this part. But, you got to do the 5 pages before that. So,
Jay, ask a question, doesn't even give anybody a chance to answer it. Nope, just me. Okay, all right.
Okay. Well, no, I just got silent. I'm just like.
Okay. So Lewis says that he has The Creek already. Where do you recommend that he starts with your work, Mitch?
Yeah, I saw that question and started thinking about it. I think Folklore has got one of my favorite characters that I've ever written in it. It's this constable named Riley Saunders, and I've had multiple people tell me that they enjoy that character. And I think it's a pretty straightforward horror novel and pretty representative of what I do. It's it's a rural setting here in North Arkansas, and I kind of lean towards writing in rural settings, and it's and then that character comes back again in another novel I wrote a couple of years ago called Dust in Time. And so if you want to read what I think is one of the more straightforward novels that I've ever written and something that's pretty representative of my work, probably Folklore and then Dust in Time is where
I was eyeing that one down the other day. because the cover's freaking gorgeous.
Which one is
I'm
that?
The Dust in
Dust in-
Time.
yeah.
Yeah, and I was so close to picking it up, but I'm trying so hard to not right now because money, broke
Shout
spent.
out to Neil Frazier. He did that artwork, and he did a great job with it.
It's gorgeous. It went on the list instantly. I'm like, okay, you know what? If I don't have the money to buy it right now, as soon as I got an extra buck, it's here. It's ready to go. It's sitting in the wish list.
I appreciate that.
Rayne, who did the Creek cover?
Ross Jeffrey, actually.
I knew that. I was just setting you up for
just trying to get Ross's name in there.
Formatting made the whole process a breeze.
That's so cool. See, this again, authors helping authors. It just gets me all just, oh my goodness. This is why I love the community so much, and the indie and small press community, because everyone's out there helping each other, trying to lift them up. Nobody thinks of this as a competition, which is exactly what it isn't. Okay, so I don't see James ask his question yet, but I really do love his question, and I ask it in almost every single chat that I have. So James, I'm asking it for you. How much of a story do you have prepared, or do you have in your head before you put pen to paper?
For me, not much at all. I have a very general sense of where it's going. Like I touched on earlier, it's mainly the character that I kind of fall in love with first, and then the plot comes secondary for me. But very, very, very bare bones. I'll hit the Word doc, open it up fresh, and just start writing.
Yeah. No, I've never written a complete outline to anything that I've written. So I'm doing pretty good if I'm staying like 2 or 3 chapters ahead of where I currently am. And sometimes I write myself into a jam, or sometimes I'll get halfway through the book and realize, well, this obviously needs to change now. So I'll make a note to go back and, okay, in the second draft, I've got a bunch of work to do. But pretty much I'm kind of like Rayne said, I'm following the character.
Yeah.
And I very seldom know where a work is going when I start it. And I usually don't start getting sight of the ending till I'm over halfway through it.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever...
sorry. The more I've written, I'm learning that my first draft is essentially like my outline.
Yeah, exactly.
Second draft is more like the first draft. I'm like always like a step behind, but that's just the process I've kind of turned to a habit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who do you guys use for as an, sorry, totally off subject. Not really, but who do you guys use for editors? Do you try to get other writers to do it, or do you reach out and actually find professional editors?
Editor, I just did that myself. In hindsight, I should have, but so I didn't know what I was doing. And then I worked with Keith Anthony Baird on the Diabolical Americana. He was a great editor, so my next longer piece, I'll probably use him because he's awesome.
I caused a little mini storm on Twitter about a year ago when I mentioned to Edward Lorne that I do most of my editing myself. But it's the truth. I do send stuff out to some beta readers. I love getting feedback. And like I said, my mother's a great proofreader. But for better or worse, and maybe I should hire an editor, but I do most of my editing myself.
Told you we'd lose Nichi in about an hour.
Yeah.
See, she's coming back. It's all good.
It was never gone. What are you talking about? We just hit that 55 minute to an hour mark, and it just StreamYard's like, get out of here.
Well, then the picture went to 3 of us, and you could only see like my microphone. I was out because it changed the size. So,
oh, that's too funny. I was never gone. What are you talking about? It's so weird too because it shuts down the browser, and the browser opens back up by itself and everything, and then I just have to hit enter studio, and I'm back.
We can see ourselves behind Mitch there. We can see the show behind him. So.
You can in your window. It's like a double feature. That's
awesome. Wow, I didn't notice that, but you can.
I'm just waiting for the pizza shop that he's at, just for them to call security and come up to knock on the window. Sorry, you've been here like an hour. Is there problems?
Or all of a sudden you just see this face come into the window.
We're starting to get reports. Are you loitering?
Now you got me looking over my shoulder back here.
Yeah, somebody go get a ghost face or Michael Myers or something and come up and sneak up to the window. Oh man, that would just be killer.
Hey, Mitch, just so you know, Ohio State's up 37-7.
Oh yeah.
5 minutes left in second quarter, just so you know.
I don't think we'll be meeting you guys in the Sugar Bowl this year. So.
Before I knew I was coming on tonight, I told Nichi to ask the question. What happened in the Sugar Bowl? But I came on anyway.
You came on it. That's what I was like. Well, why don't I just tell him? Why don't you come on with us? Then you could just ask the question. I do want to say hey to Dana and Mr. Morningstar for coming in. I did see you guys pop in here. And hello to Leonard No Skin. Thank you so much. Oh, sorry, No Skinnerd. That's her skeleton friend. Oh, looks extra gorgeous tonight. I didn't even read all the comment before I put it up there. You're gonna make me blush, you guys. That's too funny. Thank you, Dana. I've missed you. Thank you for coming by. Okay, I did have a question, and then I lost it when I got kicked out. So here is Brad. Do you all
Brad's
have
being all serious. We're over laughing and stuff, and he's got real questions.
We're just bullshitting, and Brad's like, listen, let's get serious here. Do you have a story that you really want to write, but you just haven't been able to figure out how to work it?
Mitch, you want to go, or do you want me to?
Let's go with Rayne.
All right, yeah, I got it.
I'm making a decision here.
Switch it up.
Yeah, there's one story about like a disgraced cop that keeps running in my mind, and I just like given the like the whole dilemma with like law enforcement over the past year, and obviously years prior. It's just like a super touchy subject as it is that I want to write about. And I don't think I'm at the like capacity in terms of talent to get to it.
That would be a very touchy.
Yeah, it keeps like in my mind. I kind of want to do him justice. Maybe when I have a little bit more writing prowess, I'll attempt it.
Yeah, that'd have to be like a very careful one.
Yeah,
definitely. So,
is that like I hate to sound like absolutely stupid with that, but is that just like a U.S. thing?
I think there's some stuff going on in the UK, but I'm not educated enough to talk about it, honestly. In the UK, it's a hot topic for sure.
Okay. Because I keep hearing that pop up, and I'm like, I don't get that in Canada. But I mean, it's Canada, I guess.
There are a lot of police things going on right now in the U.S. also. So, yeah, you're just in Canada. Everybody's happy, and they like to, their maple syrup and all that stuff. Go ahead.
Building their igloos, getting ready for winter. Yeah, I get it.
Going to Tim Hortons.
Yeah, that's Tim Hortons. What are you talking? Tim Hortons is American owned now. Okay, and ever since it was bought out, it's gone down. The coffee's awful. Everything's awful. So I'm like, what the heck? Why did they do that? They changed everything. Anyways, back to a serious note because we're gonna do Brad's role here. What about you, Mitch?
Story idea that I just haven't figured out how to write yet.
Yes.
I'm gonna go the opposite of Rayne King because mine seems so simple, but I want to
space erotica.
No.
There it goes again.
Like I've always wanted to try to write the I don't know, this sounds so simplistic, but I've tried my hand at a classic haunted house story about half a dozen times.
Yeah.
But I always end up thinking, well, these guys have been in this house for 60 pages and nothing has happened yet. Or I can't think of anything to happen that hasn't been done a million times before. But it's a genre that I really want to, or a subgenre that I really want to, throw my entry into the ring in. And I have not been able to make it work. I always end up bailing out on it. So I have about half a dozen partially completed haunted house manuscripts on a couple of different hard drives. But
see, you say it sounds like it's something so simple, but it's not, because you can really mess it up. Like I read S.H. Cooper's Inheriting Her Ghosts. I think it's a masterpiece. I mean, that might be one you want to read to check out to get a good feel for a haunted house, basically. Beverly Lee's got one. Those are the two I can remember I read recently. Is
hers the House of Little Bones?
Yeah.
I just got that in the mail the other day. I'm looking forward to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Both of those are awesome as far as scary.
And that's like a huge market.
Right.
And that's like a huge market right now. Like people just They just love it. It's consume it. It's like right now with YA, it's all about like witches right now. So
I mean, there are a lot of haunted house stories, but like you
Mhm.
said, you can easily mess it up too.
Yeah.
Just because it's very popular doesn't mean it's not, foolproof. So
what's going on in the chat about all this erotica and romance and what's going on, you guys? It's all because of that
was the
space
thing too.
erotica. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. Last week, Brad kept saying her romance novels. I kept saying erotica, and he was saying romance. And I was like, "Are you trying to
Listen,
snazzy it up some?" Or
listen, there's a big difference between romance with a little bit of smut and erotica. There is a big difference. And Jay, you keep talking about this erotica or space erotica. You need to write it because you talk about it so much. I'm sure so many people are waiting for it. So that needs to be like your first project that you release.
I hope that's what you're working.
I would type the words. I'm like, no, nobody can see that. Delete.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, one of my kids be looking over my shoulder, like, what's going on here?
The wife walks into the room. Oh,
yeah.
The screen goes down. Oh man!
I'll come home from work one day and she'll be like, "Your kid found a file on the computer. You need to explain yourself."
What about your search engine? Oh man. Anyways, Dana's got a great question. Back to the seriousness here. Do you think you would ever write a middle grade novel similar to the style of Goosebumps books? That's such a huge market for MG horror. Middle grade horror is, absolutely. Or is it something that you stay away from as an author?
Personally, I know I couldn't. I tried to write a children's book with a friend of mine who's an artist. She was going to do the illustrations. I was going to do the narrative. And I just struggle so much with it. So I give, middle grade writers, young YA authors a lot of credit because I know for me, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, it would be hard, wouldn't it? Because, I mean, especially if you're such a lover of horror, finding that line where, what's the perfect amount, what's too much, where would you have gone too far? Especially, trying to make it market it for that age range, that 8 to 12. That would be really hard because some kids may be able to handle more than others.
I think
How about you, Mitch?
A great book that kind of falls on a demographic.
Sorry, who?
Coraline. I think it's by Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
That's a great representation.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Middle grade, probably not. I don't know if I could if I tried. I mean, I'm not saying if someone approached me and, I like a challenge, so maybe I'd be willing to try. But young adult, maybe. I actually wrote a book called Rattus a few years back, and I had a reader give me some feedback that they were looking forward to reading it, but they didn't realize it was a young adult novel. And I didn't know it was a young adult novel. I still don't think about it as a young adult novel, but the main character is just out of high school, and it is told from her point of view. So, I mean, maybe it is a young adult novel. I didn't mean it that way, but
see, I think that happens a lot if you just have your main character being that age.
Yeah.
Who is it? Adam Caesar released Clown in a Cornfield,
and
I didn't know it was a young YA.
Yeah.
When I first read it, it's only because it's high school kids,
Yeah.
And I teach high school, so maybe some of that seeps into my work, and I don't even realize it. I don't know, but.
And would like to know what she just walked into. I'm assuming she walked in when we were talking about space erotica and the difference between romance and erotica.
See, I come on a show, try to be all serious with good questions, and Nichi makes it go off the rail like right away.
Listen, I should have known this was going to happen. I like the fun. This is chilled, laid back. Like I told Rayne, this is just a few friends hanging out, BSing, having a good time.
You should have known when you invited me on it was going to be like this.
Yeah, there's not much serious, especially when it comes to you. It's always sarcastic comments.
I'm actually interested. A side note, I know Marcella's writing a middle grade, right?
Yeah.
I'm kind of interested to see how that
for Fright Vision. I was going to say, Dana, if you need middle grade horror recommendations, I have a lot. So you can send me a message because my oldest and my youngest are both obsessed with horror, so we read a lot of it in our house. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Mitch, maybe you need to do a haunted house short story collection, so you can do a little bit of each. And then there was another question. Another comment. Wait, let me find it. Where did it go? Oh my goodness. Maybe Mitch can write an erotica ghost story.
Like Kafka on the
50
shore,
Shades.
50 Shades. Nice.
There you go, Mitch. You think you can handle that?
I'm open to maybe a middle grade book. I could never throw my hat in the
I say
Yeah.
you two go ahead and do a buddy right now.
Yeah.
Do a collaboration. Kafka on the shore
man.
meets 50 Shades of Grey. Get on it right now, both of you.
Yeah, that's funny. I've never read Goosebumps. Hey, James, just like Jay over here. He's just starting to get into them now.
Yeah.
Fear Street was better. How dare I? I have never read a Fear Street book. I've seen the movies, but I need to read the books. Okay. Sorry, just catching up on the comments here. Ever since StreamYard just kicks me out, I got to catch up now. I think that is a huge factor when it comes to deciding what age range your book hits, whether it's, like a young reader, middle grade, new adult, young adult, adult. I get really confused with the age ranges, but I think the age of the character absolutely plays a huge part where it sits on the scale. Absolutely. I don't think it is a YA novel, but things were different when it was written.
Yeah.
They didn't have these age categories. When I first started reading, they didn't have these age categories. They're confusing me. Monster Street, yes. I have a whole bunch if you want more. Sorry, you guys, catching up here. And a recommendation of Goosebumps. Okay. My next question would be, I have a couple fun questions for you guys. My first one is, if you could, first I should ask, especially since Mitch is sitting in his truck, we've passed that hour mark. Are you guys okay to go for a little bit longer? Or?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. As long as you guys are
Nobody
okay.
coming up back here.
I know. We're watching behind you there.
The cops aren't on me yet, so I'm good.
Yeah. Well,
either that, or we might witness something. We might witness something back there. Like, you never know what you're going to witness.
The
fight,
views I would get. Thank you, Mitch. What's this guy doing? He's got this computer screen over and kind of hunched over his computer for like an hour.
Mitch is being robbed live on YouTube.
Oh man, it's okay. It's okay. Just give us your
Arkansas.
whereabouts. We'll send the cops. Yeah. Okay. If you could rewrite any classic, it doesn't have to be a horror classic, but if you could rewrite any classic and put your own twist on it, what would you pick?
Does that qualify for as a classic?
I would say so.
At this point,
what was it?
Catcher in the Rye. I'm gonna go with Catcher in the Rye and probably make Holden like a sadistic killer in some capacity.
Ooh, I would read that. That.
Or anyway, I felt like he
was already like a little psycho, I think.
Yeah.
So would be a stretch.
Oh man, that's a tough one. I automatically thought of The Great Gatsby. I love teaching that book. I love that book generally, but I don't know what I would do with it.
Well, when they get to the party scene, they'll all like, drink the Kool-Aid and die. It'd be like a mass.
I mean, I said earlier that everything I try to, there'd probably be a ghost in it somewhere, since I said earlier that everything I try to write, even when I try to be super serious, there usually ends up being a ghost in it somewhere. So The Great Gatsby with ghosts.
Well, don't worry. There's nothing behind you. If something pops up, we'll scream. That's what I would be worried about, if somebody just popping up behind me if I was you sitting in a dark vehicle looking at a bright screen. Okay, those are really good answers, and I would read both of those. My next fun answer is alive or dead. Can you pick a handful of people that you would love to have at your dinner table?
Good question.
You can think about it a little bit, because I mean, if you only have like 5 settings, I mean, you want to pick the best 5.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have Uncle Steve. Uncle Steve.
I was gonna say, yeah. Your uncle come stop over.
I was gonna say you bring your uncle over there.
Bring my
Get some.
Bill. Trying to think who else. That's a good question.
Yeah, I automatically thought of Stephen King, because I just want to tell that guy thank you for like helping me get into horror. I'm sure there's a lot of people like me, but and then I'm going to say Shakespeare. I've got some questions for Shakespeare.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Again, Macbeth is one of my favorite stories ever told.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to Shakespeare.
I think I remember. Did you mention that on Paper Cuts?
Probably
I'm sure
so.
You did.
I wasn't going to bring it up.
Yeah, probably so.
I did for you. Check.
Macbeth is the play I like to teach because it when the kids get into 10th 12th grade, they've read Romeo and Juliet, they think they hate Shakespeare, and I can usually make Macbeth pretty fun. It's such a gruesome, bloody story. They end up getting into it.
How about you guys? Who would you invite to dinner? Jay, Nichi?
Oh God, I couldn't do that.
Are we just doing writers
or no, just throw anyone.
Okay, listen, I would have to like remortgage my house because I wouldn't be able to just have 5. I would need to have like every single indie small press author that I have read and loved or had on my channel or got to know or become friends with or supported or helped market, you name it. It would be like having like, I don't know,
like a great
thousands. I would need to like rent maybe 1 hall, maybe 2 halls, and try to see if they could like crane them together somehow, so it would be a big party.
I wouldn't invite writers because they'd be correcting my grammar all the time. I would invite over Pearl Jam so we could just hang out, talk about music, and play.
How about to say I would like to talk to Eddie Vedder. So
yeah.
Yes, we've got a couple of really good lists coming in. I'll pop that one up again. I never would have thought Clint Eastwood. I mean, but everyone would just want to sit there talking to Clint all night long.
I know.
Listening to the voice. There's another good one. James and his music. Yes, absolutely.
Lovecraft would definitely be an interesting dinner guest.
Yes, absolutely.
Probably very awkward.
Have to definitely put out some fires there, I would say. How about you, Rayne? Do you have
anyone else besides TV? Probably William Faulkner would be there. Hemingway. I mean, they're cliche, but I would like their brains. And then Denzel Washington is a favorite actor of mine. Everyone, Denzel. The Weeknd is a favorite artist of mine. I would like to talk to him in person. But that's about 5 people, I think.
Isn't The Weeknd Canadian?
He is, so there you go.
Well, woohoo! Yeah, I'm waiting for the Canadians. There, I always have to throw that in there. Well, we talk about paper cuts and Canadians on this channel. We've got some really good lists coming. How do you guys think of this? I couldn't even narrow it down. But everyone's coming in with these like kick-ass lists, and I'm like sitting there like, no, listen, I'd have to remortgage my house. Everyone's coming. Hey, Heidi, thanks for coming by. It's okay whether it's late or not. Just happy to have you come in. Yeah, those are awesome lists. It would be really, really hard to pick, alive or dead, because you would want to be able to pick so many brains and minds and see where their head was at. And I think inviting your uncle would be very smart. Absolutely. Since he's like so profound in the writing world. So I think that's a really good idea. Maybe you should just give him a call and say, listen, I've got some booktuber buddies. I would really love to meet you. So
how does it feel to be in his shadow?
yeah, that's right.
Worry about too.
That's it. I'm going to have to reach out to your uncle there and be like, listen, will you come and be on my channel? And he'd laugh in my face. Hannibal Lecter is my dinner guest. Oh, man. You're going to be eating some interesting food. An acquired taste. Oh, great. You guys are hilarious. Well, perfect. Well, we have gone past that hour mark, and I don't want to take up your guys' in total Saturday evening. And Mitch, you've been so kind to jump in and be in your truck this whole time chatting with us as well. So
Yeah, it's been great.
why don't
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't we, just in case anybody's got a quick question that they want to sneak in there that they didn't get in, why don't you guys go ahead again, just remind everyone, just in case they came in late, what you have out there that they can go and pick up.
Okay.
Rayne, do you want to go first?
Yeah. I'm Rayne King, author of The Creek. That's self-published. It's a novella about two lonely teenagers who find comfort in each other, kind of kindred spirits, against a strange and dark background. And then that comes with a short story I wrote, Husk, as well, which is about a treasure map, and it's kind of a doomed treasure map. And then I got a short story in Diabolica Americana, which is called Drowning in Doubt. And then another short story that just got accepted, Snow Angels, which will be in Unity Volume 2. And then when I'm not writing, I'm a supervisor for a logistics company. And then you can find me with my family, my wife, and our 3-year-old daughter.
Well, no wonder you and I get along so well, Rayne. We'll have to talk more about that later.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What about you, Mitch? Throw that out there again.
Yeah, I'm Mitch Seabourn. I'm author of most recently the short story collection Faces Beyond the Veil. I've also written and published a few novels, Lamentation, Folklore, a very strange murder mystery set in Alaska called Toklat's Daughter. My most recent novel is The Things We Cannot Say, which is kind of a family drama with a little bit of demonic possession thrown in. And I'm also a lawyer, teacher, runner, husband.
Busy guys, very busy guys, and they're following their dreams and they are kicking ass at it. So if you don't know them and you haven't picked up any of their work, make sure you go and do that. Thank you for everyone that came in the chat, asked these awesome questions, and hung out with us. And anybody that's watching after the fact, thank you. Hey, look, it's Josh. Thanks for coming by after your live.
Nichi,
no worries. Thank you
guys
so much.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming, you guys. It means so much to me. I'm, always low-key fangirling, getting to talk to all these authors I love. So it means so much to me. You are welcome anytime. And Jay, thank you for coming and hanging out with us and, stepping out of paper cuts for an evening.
Good to see you again, Jay.
I know, right? No, first time meeting Rayne, so this is pretty cool. Me and Mitch, we're like this now. Really.
Mitch is like, yeah.
He's like, I can't stand that guy really. So.
Oh, it's too fun. Well, perfect. We will end it there. Thank you for everyone for coming. It was wonderful getting to talk to all of you guys. We'll see you guys later.
All right. Thank you again. Thank you.
Love you, Brad.